Hi, everyone. Rich Hall again with the Rich Hall Group. One of the questions that comes up quite often when I work with family businesses is how do you prepare for the transition for the next generation so that you make sure the next generation runs a company well enough into the future so that things like retirement, business value, things like that are well taken care of. Well, the first question I always ask is, does the next generation really want the job? Okay, quite often that's not discussed. They assume they do, but running a company can be tough, especially a family-owned business. And with all of the dynamics that go on with the family members, trying to run the business and et cetera, it can be tough. And if you've got a younger generation that's never run a business before, then you really want to make sure that they're committed. There's other ways to do a transition that can ensure success. Okay, so following that, let's look at three different areas of consideration. All right, so the first one is, have they ever worked anywhere else? Meaning the family member you're looking to transition to. Have they ever worked for a bad boss? Do they know what a bad boss looks like? Do they know what a good boss looks like? Do they know what it's like when you have to come to work every day and be responsible and accountable, or your job performance, your compensation, or even your career can suffer? It's very important, if at all possible, to have them work in a different environment so that then they can bring some of their lessons learned back to the family business, but then they also know what it's like to work for somebody else, right? All right, so that's number one. The second point is, what would you consider as the right person to replace you in your role? So you're the family business owner. Okay, write up a job description. What would it look like to replace you? Okay, the second thing on it is write out what I call a success profile. If you've never heard of that before, reach out to me and I can share a little bit more. But basically, it's what does it take to be successful in that particular role? And you start getting into dynamics like ability to run a family-owned business, long hours, juggling family and business. It could be, difficult industry, or sales occur by handshakes. You have to be very personable. So do that. And then what I say is then have an objective view of the person you've identified for the next generation. Where do they match up as compared to the job description and the success profile? Knowing that you're probably going to transition it to them anyway, the best way to set them up for success before you do is identify the gap analysis. What do they have to do to get to be the absolute best person to run the company? And stick tight on it, put together a training plan. You might want to consider outsourcing it, bringing in a coach, a mentor, someone that can work with that person. It's not necessarily the family member, to help identify and work on those areas that they really need to grow and develop on. Okay, and then bullet number 3 is, if you have an advisory board, if you don't, I suggest putting one in place, but it needs to be a professional advisory board, not just the neighbor, maybe one of your good friends that won't tell you what you need to hear. Okay, have the advisory board go ahead and start working with this person, your child, in advance of the transition. Also have them work with you. Understand what it looks like to run the company day to day. And then start as the transition period begins, have the next generation work with the board members, establish a relationship so that now when the transition occurs, they're going to have questions. They're going to have challenges. They need somebody to go to. And I can tell you that I'm always going to go to mom and dad. They're going to have pride. I can do it myself. I can find a way. So now you've got someone that knows how to run the company, or at least from a board member perspective, has worked with you, that now is a resource for them both before, during, and after the transition. So hopefully this helps you. And if you need a little bit more information, feel free to reach out. Again, it's Rich Hall at therichhallgroup.com. Thank you.